This automated email flow drives repeat purchases for our clients 24/7, 365, even while they sleep on autopilot. We call this flow the post-purchase nurture series, and it is one of the absolute most important flows for any e-commerce brand within their email account. Repeat purchases are absolutely essential if you want to scale and scale profitably, because your profit margins on orders where you're not paying a ton of money into ad platforms are far more profitable than first purchases. You need these if you're going to scale to 8 figures and beyond. To help you do that, we're going to hold nothing back in this video. We're going to show the exact flow structure of how you should be technically setting it up. We're going to show you the exact emails which you should be putting into that technical structure. We're going to give you a lot more free guide and resource within this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if you're like most e-commerce brands, you'll actually see the majority of your flows revenue come from pre-purchase flows such as the welcome series, the site abandoned, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, and browse abandoned. But if you're just driving revenue at this stage, you're actually going to struggle in terms of profitability, because a lot of those orders are actually going to be first time orders. And like we said in the beginning, repeat orders are going to be far more profitable for you as a brand. Because we don't have a huge amount of advertising costs associated with those repeat purchases, we want to be maximizing this part of our account as much as possible because it is so valuable to us from a profitability perspective. So everything is important within your email account, but post-purchase flows and campaigns are a far better signal of profitability and of also incremental revenue. That is revenue where if you had not sent that message, it would have happened. So everything is important within your email account, but on the campaign side and with the post-purchase email side, it's a far better gauge of whether or not the revenue you're driving is truly incremental, meaning if people had not seen that message, people had not seen that communication, that revenue would not have happened. So it is fully down to that message that you sent them. That's what drove the revenue. If you didn't send that, you would not have those sales. Now, in the case of a lot of our clients who are past the 5 million a year range, many of them into the 8 figures a year range, doing more than $10 million a year, this area of the account is super important because they're spending so much in advertising platforms, and they often have a number of different platforms running, that attribution is a really key discussion for them, and they need to know where they can drive incremental revenue and where they can drive repeat purchases to try and fuel that front end scale as much as possible on those platforms. Think about it like this: you get a 2.5x return on your advertising efforts blended across the channels that you're running. 40% of your revenue there on those orders is actually going on advertising costs. Inherently, this eats into your margin by 40%. But with repeat orders, when you calculate up the cost of your email tool, of the software that you're using, and the agency that you're likely paying to run that channel, this often won't even equate to 5% of all of the revenue that's being generated from those channels. So as a result, there is 35% more margin to play with here. This is a crude calculation, but it is just here for illustrative purposes. This is why it's super important to think about this stuff from an incremental perspective and from a repeat order perspective. So it's super important to be thinking about this stuff from an incrementality perspective and also from a profitability perspective. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple examples of some post-purchase flows doing some really good work for a lot of our clients. So you're seeing here, this one generating just under half the revenue that the welcome series is generating in this period. We can see here this post-purchase flow generating a cool 11.8K for one of our clients. Here, see this doing just over, I should say, half of the browse abandon flow and helping our client with profitability here. And you can see here as well with a couple of these, with this post-purchase flow doing some nice revenue also. And then these couple of flows down here doing some really good stuff for some of our European clients as well. So if you're looking at your own account or potentially one of your clients' accounts and you're seeing that this flow is really lagging, do not worry. We're going to go into everything at a really high level here, and then also into a lot of details so you can build out a killer post-purchase flow to help assist you in getting those repeat purchases on autopilot and helping you with profitability. I'm going to show you two post-purchase flows here, but the main one that we're going to go through here is the post-purchase nurture series, or just our main post-purchase flow. There are a couple of benefits to this flow. Obviously, the main one is that it's automated and will drive revenue for you 24/7, 365. It's always working there in the background. It is helping you get more efficiency out of all of the money and traffic that you're pumping through your system and through your overall funnel. So that's a real benefit. You can also do a lot more than push for a sale here. You can kind of build the brand and stand out with the content of this flow if you do it the right way and you split it up the way I'm going to advise you to do here today. And like I'm saying here, with what we can do with splitting people up based on their characteristics, we can be very specific and make it even more powerful to get people to purchase many times over the course of their time with you. So at this point in our flow structure, we've crossed over from pre-purchase into the post-purchase flows, and the principles become a bit different as a result. Within our pre-purchase flows, we're trying to drive instant conversions. They're often a bit more. Within our pre-purchase flows, we're trying to drive instant conversions. They're often a bit more aggressive than the post-purchase flows. So here you want to change tact a little bit and kind of assist that customer journey without pushing for a sale right away, and push for that sale at the correct time. We do some more aggressive tactics here with the second flow that I'm going to show you just a little bit later on, but that's later in the video. So we have some principles here for our clients at KMH. We want to genuinely thank thank customers. We want to structure the flow properly. We want to build the brand story in the customer's mind. We want to grow the SMS list if we can. We want to push for another sale and use soft incentives for loyal customers. So let's dig into all of these. If you're like me, you probably buy many things online. And if you're into email marketing the way I'm into email marketing, you probably look at people's emails and see what they're sending. If you're in the e-commerce industry, you probably are looking through and seeing what people are sending and seeing how they're handling that post-purchase. And very rarely do I get thanked genuinely for my purchase. I think a lot of brands I buy from are particularly fashion brands, and as a result, it is fairly on brand for them to sound sort of standoffish and to try and preserve very high status for themselves. But anytime I get thanked genuinely from a brand, I really note that. I really like it. It kind of leans into one of the principles of persuasion that we often talk about with our clients and within our copywriting framework, which is that of reciprocity and liking. These sort of two principles, which are in our sort of 6 principles of persuasion in our copywriting guide, which will be on the channel. It's super important here to thank people genuinely, in my opinion. So like I'm saying, this does have a huge effect on things because people note this. People like buying from people. They like feeling as though they're valued as a person and not treated as a number. And we can do this really effectively with a thank you email. You can see this here from a brand named Prima, more of an anniversary email, but you can read this copy, super nice copy. And then you can see signing off from some of the team there as well. Really personal, kind of person-to-person style email here, which is really effective. And this is what we like to do often at the start of our flow. You can also go with something a bit more basic here. This is just a plain text email, which is a really effective way of thanking people. Gives it far more of that personal feel. If you're doing, let's say, a letter from the founder, if you are thanking people, if you're doing a reminder for a sale or for a product release, these are great times to use plain text. But particularly for me, I think the thank you portion of a post-purchase flow, that's my favorite time to use plain text. So later as well, we're also going to talk about how you can split this flow up based on loyalty and have better outcomes as a result of that. And here I just wanted to show you this thank you later on in the flow, which is for people who've purchased more than 3 times, and just calling out to people, hey, we really value you with how much you've supported our brand. You've been very generous with us, and we want to let you know that you'll be getting exclusive offers down the track as a result of this, and you're what makes our brand great. So this is kind of dipping into something we're going to talk about later, but it's just to show you that a real thank you like this goes a long way with getting a customer to purchase again in future and really priming them to buy again. We then want to structure our flow properly from a technical perspective. If you've seen a lot of our other guides on the channel, you'll know that we talk a lot about the technical structure of the abandoned cart and abandoned checkout flows being extremely important, and in this way, this flow is no different. Above all, we want to make sure people get sent the right messages at the right time, depending on their characteristics, and splitting the flow up on their characteristics is the best way to do this. We like to split the flow up normally based on how many times someone's bought. You can see here if they bought once, twice, 3 times, or 4 times and above. Each stream is treated a little bit differently because they are quite different on the whole as customers, so we can get into all of these right now. For people who've just bought once, our goal is here at first is to thank people. So this, like I'm saying, primes them to buy again. We don't want to jump down their throats and start selling to them right away. We want to sell to them at the right time. Before then, we want to sort of aid them and make sure they have a great experience with their first time buying from us and just feel a little bit different about the purchase on the whole. To have, of course, first and foremost, a great experience with the product, but also with our communications to make sure that they're thanked and to make sure that they're kind of more so looked after and that we're not jumping down their throats right away. If you do jump down someone's throat right away, it can actually annoy them and have the opposite effect of what you want to do, and that they might just never buy from your brand again because it's too aggressive and it can be a bit off-putting. So that's something to really note here. After here in this flow, after we thank them, we're going to brand build. We're going to reinforce the sort of messaging of the brand any way we can. If we can do that with a letter from the founder, that's great. If we can do that with our brand mission, that's great. So we want to really brand build here. We then want to ideally get their phone number for SMS marketing. This is highly slept on, but this is a great way, a great time really to get people's phone numbers, which then when we're launching sales or when we're launching new products, really impactful. We're also going to push them for a second purchase, but like I said, just at the right time, and it's actually going to be done with a separate flow, which I'm going to share with you at the end of the video. We then move on to second time buyers. Now, these purchasers are displaying more loyalty, and we do want to acknowledge that. We want to increase loyalty even more and let them know that they will have benefits in future if they become a VIP. We don't really need to incentivize here as such, but it's just letting them know, hey, we noticed that you're being quite generous with our brand. You know, if you become a VIP, you get lots of cool stuff. So we thank them genuinely again, let them know they can become a VIP if they buy again and all the benefits that come with that. And then we're going to remind them they can become a VIP if they haven't purchased for their 3rd time later on in this flow. With 3rd time buyers, content is getting a little bit more simple here. We're going to give them a genuine thank you. We don't really need to aggressively push them into any sales here. Just going to simply let them into the VIP flow and let them receive their first offers for having shown that level of loyalty with us. Then for our 4X buyers and above, these people are super loyal, super bought into the brand. We just want to give them a genuine thank you, and like the email that we saw above, just let them know that we acknowledge the level of loyalty that they're showing to our brand. So we now know that we need to thank people. We now know that our structure needs to be strong. And now we're starting to fill this flow out a little bit more, as you can see. Now we want to move on and build the brand story in the customer's mind. Within the email content, we want to reiterate our story and sort of win them over to the brand even more based on our mission, based on things we've done, other things we have going on. And really here, we're trying to build emotional connection. Outside of really highly established brands, you think of your Nikes, you think of any brands under the LVMH umbrella, we don't really have the legacy of a brand that these people have, because their brands are so old and they're quite ingrained into people's minds. We grew up with these brands, and as a result, there's a connection just off the basis of that legacy. Now, while we don't have that legacy, we have things which they don't have. Primarily within these, we have the ability to speak specifically to that customer, because we're likely going to be serving a smaller portion of the market than these big sort of umbrella brands that are appealing to literally everyone. They go a mile wide and an inch deep, whereas we can go really hard on the emotional connection that we have with a very specific customer demographic, and they simply cannot do that. So take a look at this email here and you'll see what I mean. This is a pet brand. You know, oftentimes people will spend more on their pets than they will on themselves. It's quite an emotional sort of bond that they're going to have with their pet, and a lot of brands are able to sort of tap into this for pet owners in a way that, you know, massive catch-all brands aren't going to be able to do. You can see here thanking people for their purchase. You can see here a lot of emotionally connecting copy here and some really, really great imagery as well. This here is actually a welcome series email, but I thought it was a really, really cool email, you know, in plain text, and you can see going into why they began the brand. So this is a fashion brand that is going to be competing with brands under the LVMH umbrella, and this brand, like we're saying, doesn't have the legacy that those brands have, but they do have the ability to speak very specifically to their customer demographic, and they're doing an excellent job of that in this email. And finally, you can see with this brand, you know, a genuine thank you and reiterating the message slightly, slept on quite a bit by a lot of brands, but is so effective. So make sure you're building the brand, make sure you're reiterating your message and winning people over even more. I touched on something when we talked about flow structure that a lot of people sleep on, which is using this part of your email flow to gain more SMS subscribers. If someone has subscribed to our list and bought, they have naturally shown a lot more connection and a lot more affinity to our brand than people who have just subscribed to the list and not bought. As a result, since they like getting our emails, there is a very good chance that they will like getting our text messages as well, and this is a great time to grow the list. If we're even able to grow the list consistently by a fairly nominal seeming amount of SMS subscribers, well, over the course of a year, when we have an event like Black Friday or we have some new product release and we're able to send that by SMS, we know that of all the people who are on our SMS list, they're all going to at least see the message. It's going to pop up on their phone, and even if they don't click on it, they will definitely see it and know that we have something new going on. Whereas on email, they have to actually be in their email inbox and open up the email and read it to understand what we have going on. So SMS is super powerful in this way. You can see a great example email here from Everly Well, just pushing people over to the SMS list. Super good time to do so. And finally here from Better Brand, another really good SMS list growth campaign here. Super strong email. And then a final one here from Grazza. Really good email also to push people over. So do not sleep on that aspect of things. Having a steadily growing SMS list is a huge asset for your brand, especially in crunch periods when things get very busy on the email front and overall marketing front. SMS is a great way to make sure that your customers will see your message. We're coming near to the end here, and I wanted to touch on using soft incentives for loyal customers. We don't have to go with aggressive discounts post-purchase to get people to buy again. We can just let them know that if they make one more purchase, they'll get lots of benefits by becoming a VIP, maybe at the 3 or even 4 order range with your brand. Here you can see a really nice email here letting people know what exclusive offers they'll get if they're a VIP, and we've just seen this to be generally extremely effective by letting people know that they get sort of exclusive benefits that only they'll get. They really like the brand. This is something people very much respond to, and it's really strong to put in your post-purchase flow. As you can see here, the structure here is really giving us a lot of benefits because we're able to contact people based on their specific characteristics and give them a completely different flow and make sure that no one's getting the same flow twice. In conclusion, for the main post-purchase nurture series that we're going to run, we want to thank people genuinely, want to structure the flow properly, want to build the brand somewhat within the flow, want to push people to sign up for SMS, and finally we want to soft incentivize people to become VIPs or at least repeat buyers. So this flow is really about nurturing people. It's about assisting that customer journey. We're not getting super aggressive in this flow. We're really brand building and just sort of setting ourselves up for more conversions down the track. But you probably are asking what else we can do to drive more conversions. For us, we often like to do this in a separate flow for clients who are okay with getting a little bit more aggressive here. We do this with an upsell flow like the one below. So this is normally something we'll implement for brands who are struggling with kind of lower repeat order rates than they'd like to see. This is often due to product category. You know, there are many brands where based on their category, it's just something that's not as geared towards a repeat purchase as, let's say, something that's consumable or something to be used in the home. Some examples of this would be if you are a home furniture brand, or you are a mattress brand, or you sell wallets, or you sell electronics, anything that is sort of a one and done kind of purchase. This is something that you can do and just get a little bit more aggressive here to try and drive those second and third purchases, because it will be an absolute game changer for your brand, and you can afford to get a little bit more aggressive here if you're not seeing repeat purchase rates that you want to see right now. So this flow is super effective for brands who are in that category or those categories where it's kind of tough to get repeat purchases. A key here is that you want to trigger this flow after the order is fulfilled and not when the order is placed. So you want to know that we're only contacting people who've received their product and had time to use it, enjoy it, or at least determine whether or not they enjoy using the product or not. This is a little typo. This should say 3 emails, but we usually like to do something along these lines. So around 7 to 10 days post fulfilled, we'll acknowledge the purchase and push them to look at some other items. Then 7 to 10 days later, we can go with a small offer and encourage them to come back. Once again, we're kind of communicating here based on their loyalty. Then email 3, around 10 days to even and 2 weeks later, we can let them know that their offer is expiring. This is just going to try and push them on. We're getting a little bit more aggressive at this point. You could even use a countdown timer in this email. Super effective way of doing things. Then with the 2x to 3x buyer, around 7 to 10 days post fulfillment of their order, we'll say, hey, complete the collection. You know, you've had this item from our collection. You know, maybe you'd like all of these other items. Try and maybe upsell something or even cross-sell. Really good time to do that. And then once again, you're seeing the structure here with emails 2 and 3, where we're giving a small offer, but this time we're not saying come back, we're saying become a VIP. And finally, we're going to say, hey, this offer is expiring around 7 to 10 days later. Become a VIP. This is your reminder. This offer is expiring. You maybe will not get an offer like this again in future. So come back and enjoy another product from the brand. I'm going to do a huge deep dive on this flow on our newsletter coming up pretty soon. So you can sign up at the link that you see here. The link's also in the description. You'll get a ton of free goodies as well once you sign up to our email list. So definitely do that. Now that's all. That is how you can drive repeat orders for your e-commerce brand on Autopilot. If you have any questions, you can drop them down in the comment section below, or you can even drop me an email. We are always open to any questions. We respond to every single comment. Like we said, if you want to get a number of free goodies, you can sign up to our newsletter at the link you see on screen. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel here for a lot more videos. Finally, this flow is just one flow of an entire flows guide that we put together for the YouTube channel, which details everything from the pre-purchase flows all the way using the welcome series, site abandoned, abandoned browse, abandoned cart, and abandoned checkout, and a lot of other post-purchase flows that we're using to aid that customer journey. If you'd like to learn how to set up an elite suite of flows within your email account that's going to help your brand scale into the multi 7 and 8 figure range, you can click on this video right here. I'll see you there.